Hmm.
Hey guys, you'll just start answering questions in a few minutes. We'll just wait for everyone to join in.
Hi, Harish.
Hey guys, firstly, I just wanted to speak about how your prep is going so far. It's been a while since we've had an interaction with you guys. So before we start answering questions, just let us know how the prep is going so far. What's it been like? What's been up last few days? How many mocks have you taken? What's the motivation like? क्या सीन है अभी तक? सब बता दो एक साथ.
Okay, so we can get started. Harish has asked a question: how to prepare for verbal ability? So verbal ability as such is very broad. Is a very broad section. There are a lot of different subsections that you have to cover, be it RCs or parajumbles or vocab or grammar or any of the other different kinds of questions that come. We have done a video on that, so you can watch that. But in brief, if I just had to tell you, ensure that you develop a reading practice. It is very important to have a reading practice so that you get into the flow of things and you're able to comprehend faster, because CET is a time-based exam, and it is very important that you have that reading practice in place so that you're able to grasp faster and comprehend faster, and you can even distinguish between ambiguous or confusing options faster if you're able to grasp properly. So developing a reading habit is very important. Secondly, focus on your mocks and sectionals, and your analysis becomes very important. So when it comes to vocab or grammar, try and make a notebook and try to make a repository of different new words that you're coming across, new grammar rules you're coming across, because vocab and grammar in that way are pretty vast, and it does not make sense to pick up a textbook and to study different grammar rules or different vocab words specifically for that. So instead, just make a repository and just start noting down whatever new words or whatever new grammar rules are coming across. Coming to RC, is very important that you are able to read the passage fast. You should not be taking too much time to read and comprehend the passage. And also, the questions are not as difficult as it comes in CAT. So once you practice enough number of RCs, you will develop a decent, and if you develop a decent reading speed and decent comprehension speed, RCs should not take you that much time for CET. And there are a lot of different kinds of other verbal section or verbal types of questions that come: match the following, para completion, para jumble. So keep practicing these different question types, because in verbal there are a lot of different question stems that are asked. And when you give mocks and sections, you will come across all of these different question types. So just practice a lot. and try and see where you are going wrong specifically in these different question stems.
Yeah, and I just used to read the notes I'd written before every mock, so I think that helped a lot. As Ankit mentioned, the vocab words, the grammar rules that you never come across. If you read it, if you take 20 mocks, you've read rules 20 times. So it makes a very big difference. Overall, it gets compounded and you'll remember it a lot faster. So that's the best thing. And I think Ankit, second part on quants. You want to take that for quantitative ability?
You can take that. You can take that.
So mainly when it comes to basics, we suggest using our books. We suggest any kind of books, like any kind of coaching material, we suggest using that. Because when it comes to quants, mainly you need to know a formula. There are two main things. You need to know the formula of how to solve quants. And second is actually doing the steps to get the answer. So when it comes to knowing the formula, this is based on your knowledge. Knowledge can be gained through books, through any kind of tutorials that you find online, or even our course, you'll get it all over there. Our course will be more for how to do it faster than what a traditional method is. So it's a little different over there. But when it comes to basics, you just need to know the formulas. When it comes to actually solving the questions, when it's the oil between the machine moving parts, that time you're trying to think about how to do calculations faster, how to make sure that you are more accurate. If you solve 10 calculations, you need all 10 right. You're trying to go for that. And the idea over there is to just keep practicing as much as you can. You need to know your tables properly. You need to know your squares, cubes, reciprocals very well. I think that Harsh has made a video on what all you need to remember. It makes a very big difference. Because as Ankit mentioned, it's a game of speed. If you are able to solve something much faster than the others, if you take 2 seconds to remember something while others would take 10, you are already saving 8 seconds, and that's in one question. So if you even spend, let's say 10 questions, if you save 10 questions like this, you'll be saving 80 seconds total. 80 seconds total will probably be 2 questions for a person who's doing faster. So 2 questions is a huge amount. 2 marks is a huge difference among the toppers in CET. So definitely make sure that you're doing this. But for just in short, take books, solve it fast, learn the formulas, and then practice a lot. That'd be that. Anything you want to add, Ankit?
Oh no, I think you've covered it quite well.
Yeah.
Anirudh has asked, when can we expect the CET date? So Anirudh, no one knows when the CET date will be out. We ourselves have no idea. We have to just wait for the official notification to come out. It can be in April, it can be in May. We have no idea. We don't think it would be in March, because since it's already 1 week of March has passed, and they would ideally give a 1 month time frame for CET to be conducted. So let's wait and see. But yeah, we don't have an official idea yet.
There's another question about how there's no motivation as there's no date. So here I'd suggest seeing last year's topper interviews. I think it's time you start doing that also. Like, we'll be putting a lot more from the JBIMS current batch. But the idea over here is that they were in the same situation. They were prepared till March, and then they had to wait around 6 more months to prepare to give their final exam. And in that time, you want to know what they did and then replicate what they've done. So again, this comes in a lot of different forms. If you are someone who's done the syllabus and completed already, watch their interviews and see the interviews of the people who've actually done that, how they've perfected it. Aditya Prabhu had taken 100 mocks. He ended up taking a total of 100 mocks in that time. So he was constantly going back to it and doing it. Amandeep on the other hand, he just didn't take any mocks after a point. That's a different thing. He knew he was prepared. But if you're someone who's not prepared at all, this is a boon for you. This is a great gift that you've got. Make sure that the next month that you put into it is the month where you put in the most effort. It's about 1-2 months that you put into CET. If you finish off the portion as soon as you can, that makes a difference in CET. Everyone has the 1-2 months of hard work that make the difference. So if you are getting extra time, use that properly based on where you are currently. But I would definitely suggest watching topper interviews. Makes the biggest difference. You are seeing these people in JBIMS currently, and they are probably going to be our seniors if you make it through. These would be our juniors right now, and we have a great relation with them because we've been speaking to them. It helps a lot reaching out to such people. So just watch how they studied, how they prepared, and it makes a big difference. And just so you know, a lot of them were in our TTP course. We were providing mentoring to them as well. And a couple of them had actually asked us this, how should we go about this? And this is exactly what we had told them, that if you as a person who's taken around 40 mocks is in a state where you're prepared and getting annoyed that the date is not closed, imagine what's happening to someone who's not prepared. You are already ahead of them, and that's going to get compounded so far. So if you're already someone who's prepared, make sure that you keep the edge over the others, because that makes a difference. And I think that helped them a lot because, it's just kind of motivation that helps you get through. So yeah, that's about that.
Gaurav has asked, in verbal ability, do we have to focus only on reading or should we focus on grammar and vocab as well? Of course, you have to focus on reading, but also grammar and vocab are very important parts of the verbal section because not just specific questions that will be asked on grammar rules or synonyms, antonyms, or meanings, but also in order to comprehend certain kinds of questions, say in para jumbles, to be able to form those connections or para completion or spotting the error or match the columns, you need to have a good grasp on your grammar and your vocabulary. So it is very important that you focus on those aspects as well. But also reading is also very important, and your comprehension skills and your reading speed also play a very important role. So don't just focus on reading; you should also focus on grammar and vocab as well.
In fact, one thing I want to add here about the general state of MBA and about MBA prep is that don't think of this as an exam. When you join an MBA college, you'll be requiring to know English, you'll be requiring to read a lot of things. When you join a job, you'll be requiring to know everything properly. So don't think of this as something that you're preparing for an exam. Think about this as something that you're doing for life. So if you're to prepare for life, if you're to do grammar rules properly, would you not do it very properly? Let's say tomorrow you're sitting in front of JP Morgan or PwC and they are asking you questions. You'd want to have good grammar in front of them, right? You'd want to be as fluent as possible and use words wherever you can. Think of it that way. Don't think of it just as an exam that's coming in the future. But from CET's perspective, Ankit's answered it. I just wanted to comment on like how people prep for their MBAs, and I think there's a lot that is left out because of that. So this is I think Vineet has taken 6 mocks so far. Not too bad, but I'd suggest taking more now because if let's say CET happens in a month, what would you want it to be? If in a month you take 20 mocks more, you'd be at 26 at the end of it. So just keep that in mind. Take a few more mocks if you're done with the portion. I would suggest start taking more mocks now because I mean usually it happens in March. This year will probably be April or after that. I mean, I'm not saying it'll be in April. Don't quote me on that, but obviously after April. But just keep taking more mocks if you're done with the prep. I think mocks is where you perfect your score. Stuck at 100 and 110 marks, can't figure out how to increase. We'll be making a video on this. If you go through our channel, we already made a video on how to improve stagnant scores. But what you have to do here is analyze your mock better and see where to improve. Ankit, anything to add here?
Yeah, it's from this step onwards, it's more about analyzing, figuring out where you are going wrong, how much time you're spending on questions that are going wrong, and even where you're going right and how much time you're spending on questions that are on the right questions. Because it shouldn't be that on a 1-mark question, you're spending 3 minutes to get it right. I would rather spend 10 seconds on a question and get it wrong than spend 3 minutes on a question and get it right. So that time ratios and figuring out how much time to spend on particular sets and questions is very important. So that increase will happen once you start analyzing more. So focus on that, and we'll be making a video soon on that as well.
In fact, if you're a student, we'll be keeping specific sessions on this. We already started the group mentoring sessions. Like apart from the private personal one-on-one mentoring, we've started the group mentoring. We had one around a week ago and one before that as well. But we'll be starting off topic-wise sessions where we'll just one of us will take a session and or we'll be calling the CET'22 toppers and asking them to take something on a topic. For example, if you have to see stagnant scores, we'll be talking mainly on that and going in depth onto how we do that. But we'll be first starting off with mock analysis, preparation, and all of that, then coming to stagnant scores, since it's something that's a little bit higher. So if you're interested, head on to our website. Just check it out. It's a good course. It's pretty nice. Like I like it, obviously. So yeah. Harsh has asked how many RCs come in CET. There is, I think, 2 RCs come. It's around 15 questions that you get. 8 and 6. 8 questions and 6 questions. They can change every year. It can change, but that's how it is usually. Anirudh is scoring 130, 140 in mocks, but English section is getting only 25, 30. I think I'd be better to answer this because I used to get 25, 30 instead of your 40s in verbal. So 130, 140 is a great score. I would suggest, and in fact, it's great because you're getting lesser in one section. So that means there is scope for improvement. Had you been maxing out at 130, 140, you'd be thinking where to increase it. But since you're getting a lower score here, I'd suggest thinking about where exactly you're going wrong. And like if you've taken 10 mocks so far, I'd suggest writing down each and every mistake that you made in that. Each and every mistake that you made. So for example, if you've got 30 in all the 10 mocks, there are 20 questions that you're missing out per mock. So there'll be a set of 200 questions that you're missing out totally. If you've taken 10 mocks, 20 into 10. Make a reason for each and every one of these as to why you've got it wrong. and think about how you're going to get it right the next time. If usually it is vocab or an idiom, then that's something that takes a very long time to fix. That is more of a long-term solution, because you can't just learn vocab in a day and think, you can't learn the entire universe of vocab and say done. Same with idioms. But with something where you're going wrong in grammar rules, like for example, there are certain rules that we always go wrong in. I would suggest fix those first, get a couple of marks there. And then apart from that, parajumble practice. I usually think parajumble is where people go wrong a lot in CET. That'll be another thing. 25 to 30 is not a bad score if supposing you are giving it less time. So keep that thing in mind as well, how much time you are giving to it and whether it's worth spending more time on it. But the first thing to do over here would be something like a survey of your mocks or a mock analysis and just see where you are going wrong here. Ankit, anything to add here?
No, I think you summed it up pretty well. Yeah, your mock analysis is very important. I've seen people who spend just 1 hour on mock analysis after giving a 2.5 hour mock. So that shouldn't be the case. Ensure that it used to take me minimum 2.5, 3 hours to actually sit and analyze the mock and figure out what are my strong areas, weak areas, where I'm spending too much time, or where my accuracy is taking a hit. So it will take you that much time. So don't try to cut down on that. A mock analysis plays a very important role.
In fact, I used to take more than 2 to 3 hours to do. I used to take around 4 or 5 hours some days just to finish my mock analysis, because I used to prefer going in depth. If I'm taking a mock, if I'm giving it my time, my idea is it's a stepping stone to perfection, right? It's a stepping stone to see where I can improve. Why should I not give it enough time? That's the idea here. While solving mock quant sums, it seems difficult, but while analyzing, it seems easy. I think this is something everyone's gone through. But the main thing over here that you need to realize is that I'd actually gone to IMS this one time, and I had taken their mocks, but I knew Prasad sir and Shashank sir, so I'd gone to meet them once. And the head had told me this one thing, that a question is a question. It doesn't matter if you're solving it in a mock. It doesn't matter if you're solving it in practice. And your goal is to make sure that if you see a question, you have to solve it right, irrespective of whether you've woken up right now, or if you're in a mock, or if you've prepared everything and it's your final exam. It doesn't matter where you are, you have to get it right. And I think that mindset helped me a lot, because I realized that I used to make excuses for myself that, oh, there's so much pressure in the mock. I faltered because of pressure in the mock, but remove those excuses. Make sure that you are holding yourself accountable for each and every mistake you make. And more mock practice will give you more confidence. The easiest way to go about this is that if you take more mocks, you'll automatically reduce the pressure. But make sure that this is your aim. If you solve a question, it should be right now. It should be right 10 minutes later. It should be right 30 minutes later. CET questions are not challenging. CET questions are not the type where you need to think for 30 minutes and then think about a formula for the answer. If you know the formula, you put in the numbers, get the answer. That's usually how the questions are. So your advantage in that is that if you know the knowledge, get it right. That's your strategy for quants. And it's only practice. It's only a matter of practice here. I'm sorry if I'm being very blunt, but it's only practice. Ankit?
Yeah, it's true. It's all about practice and quant. And also, after you've done enough of practice and your foundation is strong, then you have to work a bit on your strategy, whether you want to go about the quant section in 2 rounds, or you want to give say 35 minutes and do it in 1 round itself. So those are small, minute things that will come into play later. But initially, our first thing is to build our foundation. And that is why people get stuck up in quant, or they take too much time per question in quant, because their foundations are weak. So work on that, practice enough questions from each topic, especially arithmetic. And arithmetic plays a good role in DI and other quant-based questions also. So focus on that. And once that is done, then you can move on to the finer aspects of your quant strategy.
Yeah. Just keep the timing in mind. I think the most important, it's always a clock. And Gaurav has asked a question about when do you do time studies? I used to do it all the time. Even if I'm not taking a mock, I used to try to time myself and see if I'm getting it within a minute or not. Makes a difference. You always have to be against a clock. Just remember that. Ankit, did you do anything like this?
Yeah. Even I ensured that I was always using a timer, not just for mocks or sections, but every question, every puzzle, every DI set I was solving, I was always ensuring that I was doing it with a timer. Sometimes I would just pick up 10 abstract questions and see how much time I'm taking to do 10 abstract questions. 25 abstract questions, treating it as a proper abstract section and seeing how much time I'm taking. So these are the different ways. But yeah, I ensured that I was solving under a timer, because you need to get your brain accustomed to that time pressure that is going to be there in CET, and it matters more in CET as compared to other exams like CAT or other MBA entrance exams, because CET is a time-based or a speed-based exam. So ensure that you are getting accustomed to that pressure now itself during your preparation stage.
Innovate like crazy, how to start from scratch. Though there are many resources on YouTube, but still confused where to start from. This is exactly why we made our course. In fact, this is the exact reasoning why we thought we should make a course on CET, because you can find a lot of things, but there is nothing that is certified that, this is definitely going to work in these situations. That's in fact why we thought we'd make our course with our approach and how we've studied. So yeah, I guess this is literally like, if you watch our videos earlier, this is how we introduced our course, that you'll find a lot of things on YouTube, but in one place you won't find a lot of things, like you won't find all of it. So that's the idea behind that. But mainly I would suggest is starting practice. Practice is what it is. You just have to keep doing it. You can switch from tech to finance. That is fine. I mean, if you do an MBA finance, that is. If you do an MBA marketing, obviously that'll be tougher. But yeah, if you do an MBA finance, it'll be fine. Our take on CMAT, while we don't, I mean, you should take it. You should definitely attempt CMAT. Aditya has made a video on the different ways that you can get through JBIMS, and you should definitely see it once, because he's made a very thorough video on the different ways and the different exams that you can take to crack CET or to crack JBIMS. And CMAT is one of them, and CMAT requires a lot of GK, but at the same time, I think the questions are a little bit easier over there compared to the CET questions. So you can score very high on the other sections and then see what you can do in GK by preparing for it. But I think it's definitely worth doing that. We would not be the best to answer on GK. That's why we'd suggest watching our friends. Fahad Nizam has a video on our YouTube channel, and Web of Call. Two of them have videos. And from the current toppers in JBIMS right now in the 23 batch, Akash Pandey has a video on CMAT. So it's just these 3 videos. Give it a watch. Just go to our channel. I think I've made a playlist for CMAT videos. So go to our playlist tab, click on CMAT, watch the videos. They'll be the best guides for this. How to prepare.
Even if you don't want to prepare for CMAT seriously, just give the exam from an experience point of view. If you're just focusing on CT, because it's very important to get a hang of these kind of speed-based competitive exams. Just get used to the environment. So we do recommend that even if you're not preparing for GK, or if you're not interested in preparing for CMAT seriously, but you are planning to give CT seriously, then just give CMAT from the experience point of view.
Yeah, I had taken MAT, I had taken NMAT, I had taken SNAP mainly for this. I did not intend to go to any colleges through that, but I had taken the exam just for the speed, just to gain speed and to see how the exam would be. I think Ankit had taken ATMA as well for that, and he in fact topped it as well. So Ankit and Shreekanth, both of them had taken it, rank 1 and rank 4, I think, in that exam, something like that, right?
Yeah.
I remember seeing the names and I was like, damn, people are doing a lot. This was before I knew them. I knew Shreekanth at that time. And Ankit used to be, I'd seen his names in Patrick Sir's mocks. Not Patrick Sir's, IMS mocks. I'd seen his names in the top 10, and that's, I was like, wow, look at this guy. But that's the motivation that I had. Like, I'd used Ankit and Shreekanth as motivation that they are getting rank 1 and rank 4. I should also go for something like that. If you start right now, will you be able to crack it? Yes, definitely. I think as I mentioned, since the date is not out, use this to your advantage. Spend the next 1 month or 1.5 month covering all the syllabus. Then you should be at par with people who have covered syllabus right now. Just hope that, in your case, hope that it gets delayed more. In the case of people who are prepared, hope that the exam happens as soon as possible. But the idea here is that when it comes to uncertainty, you just have to prepare without thinking about when the date is. You just keep going at it and keep preparing as much as you can. Like if you're able to give 10 hours a day right now because your college is online and you aren't working anywhere right now, give it 10 hours a day. You don't know where life will go 2-3 months later, what will happen later. You'll be forced to take admission somewhere. If you don't have any other options, you'll be having hours to attend over there. Then you won't get to prepare for CET. So if you have time right now, study right now. It'll come to use later. Again, I refer to my friend Aman. He had studied before he joined an MBA college. Then he took CET when he was in another MBA college, left that college, got through JBIMS, 99.96%. Now he's at JB and very happy with that. So yeah, just keep these things in mind. Ankit Thakker has asked grammar rules, but he doesn't remember. Any tips on that?
See, if you're making a list of grammar rules, but keep ensuring that you are revising on a regular basis. There are a lot of different grammar rules, and it can become a bit difficult, to grasp those rules, because if you're not seeing the application of those rules in different contexts, it may not strike you at times that this rule is being applied here in this particular question. So try and see if you can maybe even form an example for each of the different grammar rules, so it just sticks on to you and you recollect it better. But just ensure that you're revising on a regular basis also. Otherwise, it can become a bit difficult to remember different grammar rules or even different vocab words. Vedanti has asked which mock should I give? Is there any mocks provided by TTP? So yes, we do provide mocks along with our course. These mocks are curated and created by Test Funda. So we are providing Test Funda mocks, and they are updated according to the CET pattern. It's a mix of different kinds of patterns. You will find some mocks which are of the old pattern, some of the new pattern of last year. So we don't really know which pattern is going to be there this year. It's completely up to the authorities as to how they want to set it. So the mocks will cover all different possible patterns or permutation combinations that can be there. So yeah, we are providing Test Funda mocks. Other than that, as we've mentioned before, we do recommend giving IMS mocks or time mocks or olive board. These are some of the mocks that all of us had given during our preparation.
That's a really nice comment. I work really hard for that t-shirt, JB. In fact, we wear the t-shirt in videos so that you guys get motivated. We wear it mainly on these videos only for that. So yeah, that is your motivation. In fact, we do it for that. We could be wearing TTV t-shirts or something else or any random shirts, but we try to wear this as much as possible so that you guys can see it and work hard for that. Yeah, keep putting in the hard work. I think it makes a very big difference there. Any good books to read for verbal? And there's a question on editorial of Hindu for verbal. Do you have anything on that?
Yeah, editorial of Hindu is good to develop that reading habit, and not just for CET or the verbal section in general. Also, it would be very good for your growth as an individual if you're reading editorials and reading op-eds. So yeah, the editorial of Hindu is good. Specific books for verbal, I never used any books. For vocab, people do use. For grammar, people use Wren and Martin. For vocab, people use Norman Lewis. So if you have that much time and if you are interested in pursuing that path and inputting that much energy and time to get your grammar and verbal in place, you can think of doing that. Personally, I never did that. So that's completely on you. But other than that, no specific book as such. Just focus on your practice questions and sectionals and mocks and analyze your mocks well. And that will majorly help you in finding your weak areas within verbal and improving on the same.
So I have a slight different suggestion here. I didn't follow it because, I used to read generally. But if you are someone who's not read English a lot and you want to get a hand on it, if it's not your main language, read novels. Just take something that interests you. Find some or take an autobiography that interests you. If you like cricket, read autobiographies of cricketers. Read how they've done it. If you like finance, read about finance, about big people in finance, even autobiographies of big entrepreneurs, CEOs. You can read anything that makes you interested in the topic. The idea is just to read and see how the sentence formation works. The more you read, the better you'll get. The thing about editorials is that it is very difficult grammar as well. Like the way they form their sentences, they're known as complex sentences. They purposely do that because that is how you sound more knowledgeable automatically. And kudos to them. They are managing very well and they have points they are smart, obviously. They know what to speak also. They have substance and that is their usual way of language. But when it comes to us, if we've not reached that point where we can read that fluently, I would suggest read novels, any kind of novel, any kind of autobiography. If you are someone who doesn't have good communication skills, English skills, definitely do this. Like, please read novels. Any book is fine. Take 1984, read it. Take any book that you like. Any kind of book is fine. It doesn't make a difference. Just read books. Like, just read as much as you can. It'll help. And just to make it interesting, take a book on the topic that you like. That's it.
Right. Developing a reading habit is very important. Need not be newspaper or any op-ed or any articles as such. Even if you like reading novels, there's no harm in that. So, but just ensure that you are developing a reading habit because that is going to be very beneficial for you.
Yeah, and just to speak about the editorials, it does help. Like even in your MBA, lots of questions will be asked about, again, in interviews, they'll ask you second level questions, not just directly what happened here. They'll ask you what are the implications, what will happen next, things like that. Like they might ask you further into a topic than what you can just read online. So that's why having an opinion on things matters a lot. And that is something where you can develop a lot through editorials, because that's what they are offering over there. So it does make sense. But when it comes to what you are asking for, I'd suggest novels in this as well. How to stay calm on D-Day. We have a video on this, I think. And in fact, if you watch the interview of my sister, you'll see a very good example of how she was crying during a paper, but then she got it back in the next 5 minutes, because like she was able to get it back even though her paper was going out of hand, and she got through JBIMS on that day itself. So the main thing over here is the mentality or the mindset that you take into the exam hall about how much preparation you've done, the motivation that you need. But this is something that you think about later on. Right now, when the date is not out, I'd suggest just watch these videos, keep it in mind, but prepare as much as you can for a better mock. Then you go for a better exam. Like first think of mocks, then go for a better exam. I'd suggest that. But watch these videos; they'll answer all your questions. See, everything that we, in the last year itself, we've covered so many things on MBA and CET that this year we are telling you to watch that again. We'll be putting updated videos on these topics because we have a lot more to add now after a year. But at the same time, for now, watch those videos. You're going to help a lot.
And this is what we do in our one-on-one mentoring session also. So along with the strategy and specific CET core exam-related discussions, we also try and explain as to how we explain as to what was our situation during the exam, how we were able to handle the pressure, and how we were able to stay calm. So during these sessions, even the aspirants and the students are able to understand what are the right things to do. If you get stuck somewhere during the exam, how do you overcome that, and how do you not let it drag through your entire paper? So these are the small things that do matter, even if you're prepared 100% well. But if something happens on that day, and if you get stuck on one puzzle or one DI set goes wrong, you cannot start getting bogged down by that. You have to stay calm. You have to stay composed. Don't get bogged down under pressure. And you have to be able to buck up and get through the entire section. So these are the different things that we do focus upon during our one-on-one mentoring sessions also.
In fact, through this mentoring, we get to know a lot of stories about people who've just not studied, got 95 percentile, and that's what we use in our videos as examples after that. So that's why I mean that when we make a new video, we'll be able to add a lot to it. And it's a two-way thing. We also learn a lot more. Students also get to learn a lot through that conversation. So if you're interested in any kind of mentoring that we have, please reach out to us. Our website link is thetoppercentile.co.in. Will be there in the video description at the end of the video. We'll be adding that there, or just click on any other video. You'll find it in the description. But there's a question on CMAT and CET mentorship. We have CET mentorship, but it's a part of our course. If you buy our course, you'll automatically get the mentorship. And the reason we've done this is because we think we are specialists in our course and not in what you would be having and not in other things. That part is, apart from that, is what we're doing on YouTube. But for mentoring is proper focused on how our course and how our advice would help you in your individual scope. That's why we've added that to our course and not kept a separate thing, because it becomes a little difficult to explain how everything else works if you don't know what you have at your disposal. So that's why, because we've not referred to too many things. So that's why that is there. A couple of questions for me over here. Thanks, Anay. Your voice is smooth. Thanks, Rahul. I didn't do much for this. How to have a good communication skill? I think mainly, in fact, just putting yourself out there. I've spoken to Ninad, one of our toppers from CET'21, and he in fact mentioned this, that how because he's coming live on the TTP YouTube channel and helping us in the mentoring and going through with all these things, he himself is getting a lot more confidence in it. He's able to speak a lot better. And I think that is something that helped me a lot. I just used to put myself out there during presentations or any kind of thing that was happening in college. Plus, in engineering, we used to have a last minute mindset where we used to keep everything to the end, not study and just go for it and just present. And you'd be forced to come up with sentences and explain something that you really don't have anything about, don't have any knowledge about. And during engineering, that was fine. But then later on, you had to kind of, cover up. And that's where I think that's what helped my communication a lot. But yeah, my family also pushed a lot for this. So I think it's an effort that you need to constantly put in. You have to keep practicing as much as you can. That's the main thing. General, Anna, you should go to Wharton and all those colleges. I don't know if you're joking or not, but JBIMS is a small achievement. I think JBIMS is a great place. But yeah, let's see in the future what happens and what happens over there. That's a very different thing. And about just one more thing, Devansh, I'll reply on LinkedIn. Don't worry, that's not a problem. I'll be responding there. We'll call it a day in around a couple of minutes. Let's just see a few last questions on this. Ankit, you want to take any questions?
There was one question on what kind of puzzles should you not solve. I don't recommend that. So firstly, different people will be comfortable with different puzzle types. I was comfortable with circular arrangements, but I had a friend who was not comfortable with circular arrangements. So there's no one size fits all strategy for that. But ensure that you're practicing all kinds of puzzle types, whether it is linear arrangement, matrices, circular arrangement, floors, whatever it may be. You have to practice and you have to be good at all different puzzle types. And after that, you will be kind of confident about that. You will understand maybe some puzzle types you're stronger at and some puzzle types you're weaker at. But don't just leave out certain puzzle types completely, because you never know in the exam if say something you left out and you've not practiced enough, that turns out to be easier. That is something that is solvable in lesser time as compared to the other puzzles. You don't want to leave out that. And with respect to this, we have made a very specific video on how to select the right puzzles as part of our course. It's not available on YouTube. And we made a very elaborate course on what are the different strategies or what are the different pointers that you need to consider in, especially in the LR section and the puzzles part of the LR section, as to how do you go about selecting the right kind of puzzles? How do you go about solving these puzzles? So if you join our course, you will get access to that video itself, and that is very elaborate in nature, made by Anay and Vidhan. So yeah, but I don't recommend leaving out, at least from your practice, any specific puzzle types.
Yeah, I agree. I think that answers. In fact, I think about this video, initially we used to get a lot of queries about the input-output video that we had. Then afterwards it changed into this, and people realize that input-output is not important, but puzzles are more important. So everyone's shift changed to how to study for puzzles better. But yeah, I think we've answered almost all questions here. Does a high gap without any job experience create an issue? I think if you would need to answer why in the interview. Whether it make an issue or not depends on the company and the role and how the HR is on that day. But you would require to answer. They will definitely ask you why there's a gap. So try to fill it up. Try to put in internships. Try to put in certifications. Try to put some reasons that you have, or stories, or anything that you'll have to fill in that gap, because it's very important to do it. I think it makes a very big difference there. But I think we'll call it a night. It's 12:15.
Yeah. One last question. I'll just take one last question. Ansari has asked, is banking study materials enough for practicing? Yes, banking study materials. If you're choosing the right materials, don't select the ones which are for high difficulty level. Choose the ones which are of a similar level as that of CET, but you can use those materials for practice. They would be a good source.
Sounds good. We'll be keeping more sessions. And sorry, one last thing. There's a question Sujay asked, what should be done before joining an MBA college? I'll be making a video specifically on this because I think there's a huge gap between what expectations are and what the reality is later on. So I'll be making a video on this later. Just stay tuned for it in probably a week or maybe 2 weeks. I'm not sure when, but whenever you get the time to record, we'll be making videos and putting it on our YouTube. So stay tuned to your YouTube channel. We have around 30 or 40 videos lined up that are going to come out in the next 2 months. So just stay tuned to that. We'll be having live sessions as well. You can ask as many questions as you want. If you're interested in our course, if you're interested in anything that we have to offer, feel free to head on to our website. I'll just put the link in the chat so you can just click on directly from there. But just thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for this. Thank you, Ankit, for being here. I've put the link in the description in the chat, so you can just click onto that and go to the website. You can reach out to us for any questions. Everything's honestly pretty self-explanatory. After a while, a Telegram group has all the explanation that you need with FAQs. So read those, reach out to us if you have anything else. But thank you so much, guys, for being here. And thank you, Ankit, and good night.
Yeah, thank you, and all the best, guys. Thank you.